Welcome to Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast for the Rewind Show, where we look forward to looking back at some of the last times we played this weekend's upcoming opponents. Hello, my name is Craig Fimbo. Welcome back to the Blue Monday Rewind Show, where we look at the last time we played this weekend's opponents in the top division and more matches from the not-so-distant past. Joining me for the first instalment of your Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday Blue Monday build-up to Manchester United is David Diamond. How are you, Dave? Did you have a good trip? Did you enjoy the international break?
I did. International break doesn't really mean too much to me, to be fair, only that we're not playing. Sad to say. Well, what sort of patriot am I? Goodness me. I was out Thursday, funny enough. I got back Thursday sort of lunchtime, and I was out seeing some people Thursday evening in Isaacs in Ipswich, very dead Isaacs in Ipswich, and the match was on behind me, and I didn't even pay much attention to it. I know we won 3-0, so that's quite good. I think we're playing Ireland. Is it today?
Yes, or we're recording this.
Or when we're recording.
Morning. So yeah,
sorry, giveaway. Yeah,
people
so
will know the result.
Do you know what? England in these Nations League games don't really hold anything for me, to be fair. But yeah, just another weekend without a town game. However, well, it's on the horizon next Sunday, as we just spoke in the green room earlier. The circus will arrive in town, and so hence some classic games against Man United from the past. Well, yeah. Classic-ish, perhaps.
Well, 2 out of 3, possibly.
Yeah.
Well, we had 2 weeks to relive and bask in the Tottenham result, which and one of the games we spoke about in the Tottenham Rewind Show was an overhead kick.
That was bizarre.
And lo and behold, pretty much in exactly the same position, 20 odd years later, it's being replicated.
That was spooky, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's hope we can replicate 2 of the 3 matches we're going to chat about today. If not the first, we'll scoot over that one pretty quickly.
Yeah.
As mentioned before, we have a show sponsor, All About Hearing, a Suffolk-based hearing care professional company towards Dave's bottom corner there. Help you out if you've got any audio quality issues, allabouthearing.co.uk. Thank you, Dave. As ever, do chat. Give us a chat. Give us a mention. Stick some comments. If you were any of these games that we're going to have a look at, so especially if you were there, give us a thumbs up. You know the drill. Manchester United are arguably the biggest club in the world, potentially. Not the best team, but certainly arguably.
They're up there with the likes, if you've got to say, just for longevity and everything else. Probably up there with Real Madrid, aren't they? You would say, yeah. I don't think there's any too much doubt about that. You could feel City fans and Liverpool fans and others who are perhaps tuning in,
possibly
disagreeing. But no, I think that's probably right, isn't it? It's not an unfair statement, that.
And as a result, our matches against them do tend to stick in the memory more than maybe others. Yeah. So we're heading to the evening of Saturday, the 27th of April, 2002. We'll do it because it's not one of our normal songs and artists. Number 1 in the charts, David. It went straight in at number 1.
God.
Let me work out my corners here. Giving you a clue.
Oh, okay. So it's
maybe not that album.
From that, you weren't pointing to Blur, were you? It's Oasis, I tell you. Yes, am I right? I'm on the right track.
Yes.
Oh God!
It's from the Heathen Chemistry album.
Oh, important. No. Hindu Times.
Very good. Well done. Yes. Hindu Times. Their 6th number 1. And number 3 was the Doves, actually, as well. I'd like the Doves. Like the Doves, Dave. There Goes the Fear. Heard of that?
I'm sure I have, but
northern-based band
doesn't resonate with me at the time.
Now, in terms of the league, this is why we're going to scoot over this match, really, because although we had just beaten Middlesbrough 1-0, which was our first win in either 10 or 11 matches, I believe. And as you said when we were chatting before we were on air, Dave, Sunderland's failure to beat Charlton earlier in the day meant that we could or would get out the relegation zone if we could get a result against Manchester United.
Crikey, that's when you look at that season, that's a scary points total that's required there, isn't it?
Yeah, and very condensed as well.
Yeah, it does.
Blackburn with 15th. Look at their goal difference. Blackburn's goal difference of +1.
Plus goal difference. I know. Yeah, no, I don't quite think it'll pan out like that this season. I don't quite already. I don't think you can see that already. But anyway, yeah, and it was almost the you're almost getting down to the last rights, aren't you? Here?
Yeah, very much so. The cover star of this week is the head of elite and performance football at Gateshead College Academy for Sport.
I would assume that is it Tommy Miller?
Previously manager of Darlington. And before that, Blythe Spartans. Doesn't tend to, I think Ipswich was one of his more southern clubs. He's very much tended to base himself around that top corner of the country.
I'm just looking for Alan Armstrong. No, it is Alan Armstrong. Here he is. Yeah. Picture that.
Now, as I say, we may not spend too much time on this game because it will trigger a few people. The referee, who may or may not come into the conversation, was Rob Stiles, and it appears that Rob Stiles may have been partying with David Coote with some of the decisions that he made in this match, didn't he? Let's have a look at the teams. So our team, we went at 4-5-1.
I like that setup. Look at that.
Yeah, Peralta, Tommy Miller playing in the Premier League. It's a midfield three with Matty Holland and Marcus Bent up front by himself.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he hadn't made his debut too far before that. His full debut, I don't think. Pretty sure Tommy Miller, it might be one of his first full appearances, I think. Certainly was latter that season. I think he made obviously a few substitute appearances. But yeah, you like that kind of setup with sort of Holland as a screen there. I mean, we said it before. I mean, it's a decent team, isn't it? Look at it.
Blair on the wings. Manchester United's team, you say Ipswich has had a decent team. Now, looking at Manchester United's lineup here, I'm not suggesting for any second that Sir Alex thought that this was one to rest some of his key players, but there's no Barthez, no Gary Neville, no Juan Sebastian Veron, no Beckham, no Laurent Blanc, no Andy Cole, no Ryan Giggs, no.
I think I'm sure we looked at this side before. I'm sure back then we would have looked at this side before the game and thought, "Here we go, this is our chance." Surely, I mean, very, very odd man. Not odd lineup, but very odd team. I mean, just looking at it, and I think the one constant there, obviously sitting there in the midfield, is Roy Keane, I guess, isn't it? Luke Chadwick, who obviously has been back in several different guises to Portman Road, with them up the road as well, hasn't he? Plymouth, I think, as well, I believe. I think that's Michael Stewart playing left.
Yes.
Scottish guy, I think, playing left, who I don't think ever quite one of these Man United players that was extremely, I think, from memory, well thought of, but never quite cut it there due to perhaps injury or one thing and another.
Went on to play for both Hibs and Hearts.
Oh, did he? Okay. Yeah. Pretty potent front two, I'd suggest.
Yes,
Diego Forlan, Van Nistelrooy.
Van Nistelrooy. TWTD mentioned a scandalous penalty in the first half condemned Town to a 1-0 home defeat. A joke of a decision, and it cost us the game, said George Burley. There were a few saves being made by Andy Marshall. I think he tipped a Roy Keane Thunder B onto the bar towards the end of the game.
Yeah, hell of a save. Just looking at the highlights earlier, Bent had quite a good chance near post, didn't he? Header, which is quite close. But the penalty was a joke. I mean, it was Keane, isn't he? Floats the ball in the box. Van Nistelrooy, as you think, good movement. I think gets between Bramble and I think it's McGreer in the end, isn't it? And it's just a coming together. The ball's dropping. They're all coming together. Obviously, Keane goes down, let's say, and how can we put it nicely? an exaggerated way.
And Mr. Rego's
And the ref, Mr. Styles, couldn't bloody wait to give a penalty as they want with Man United in those days. And I mean, Van Nistelrooy, for all his acting ability, was fairly lethal from the spot, and yet duly dispatched it in the bottom corner. Yeah, it was sick. It's just a shame he's not still there. I think that still runs deep with a lot of supporters, and yes. I think can you imagine him treading down the touchline next Sunday? Oh, yes. Dearie me, that would have just been topped it all off probably. But obviously, it was well documented. He's now left and won't be there. But
no, and currently odds-on favourite to be the Coventry manager.
Is he?
Apparently so.
Missed all this. Oh
I noticed that yesterday. So
yeah. I mean, what was interesting about the Man U side, whether they were paying as much respect, or even Sunderland, people who are other clubs who are down there, but interesting bench of Scholes and Solskjaer both on the bench with Miko Silvestri, I think. But three fairly useful players to have on the bench there.
Yeah. But this is how it looked after this particular match. So we are now, third from bottom, 3 points from safety with one game to play. So we needed to, and it's okay because our last match of the season was away at Liverpool. So we needed a win at Liverpool, and only then would it be any good if Derby won at Sunderland.
Yeah, it was a shocker when it just Liverpool as we covered earlier, had already dispatched the 6-0 a few months earlier. So I don't think we really went there with much hope. And it turned out that way, didn't it? Yeah, it was just a season that just got away from us, didn't it? Beginning and the end, it's just odd, wasn't it? Really, really odd season.
Yeah, but we get to talk about that Liverpool game in January. Luckily,
there you go.
So cure your Christmas and January blues. We'll get to talk about a 5-0 loss, which saw us relegated from the Premier League. Right, we're going to move on
that one.
Exactly that. We've glossed over. We've done it. It's contractually obliged to do so. So we've done it. We're now going to talk about some wins
by our producers.
Yes, quite. After a quick note from our friends at Atwells.
Blue Monday is proudly brought to you in partnership with our friends at Atwells Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for work on property or business law. Their client care has repeatedly been recognised as outstanding, and they are people-focused with a plain English approach which sets them apart. They have offices in Ipswich, Colchester and London, and to find out more, head to atwells.com.
Thank you, Mikey. Right, Saturday the 24th of September 1994, we are headed to. Number one in the charts, Dave. We have this young lady to thank for allowing us to emerge from our never-ending wet cycle.
We've done this.
Weeks
we've done this before, haven't we?
Yes,
we've done this before.
Young lady with Euro, I think very much a Euro pop stance. Had its own dance associated with the song.
It's the other one. It's not Saturday Night. I can't remember what she called. Saturday Night, isn't it?
Correct. Wigfield.
Wigfield. Yeah.
Very good. Well done. Now we had, lost our previous 4 games heading into this one, including on the Monday night leading up to the match, a 2-1 loss at home to Norwich. So the table, yet again, didn't look particularly rosy at this point. We hadn't won at home since February. So we're now in September of the next season. We'd lost all previous 3 home league matches that season.
God dear.
And one in the League Cup, actually. So we'd lost 3 home games in the league, 1 League Cup game at home as well. So we hadn't started. Yes, 3-0 to Bolton.
Oh, yeah, it was a shocker. When this season was, let's face it, we should have gone. I think we've said this before. To avoid all the embarrassment, we should have gone down the season before, shouldn't we? We really should have done. We were reprieved by that famous Mark Steen goal, wasn't it, at Stamford Bridge, right at the last knock-ins after the game at Blackburn. This was literally a season too far. However, this particular game was just a Paul's coupon buster, as they used to say.
I'm not going to say it was the highlight of the entire season in September, but I think it probably was the highlight of the entire season.
Probably the highlight of the entire season in the Premier League programme was the away game in March,
Well,
as we know. But for us, this has got to be the. I mean, Christ, we went on as FA Cup defeats at Wrexham, wasn't it? That was a season, wasn't it? Oh God, yeah, it was. No, it couldn't have been. No, it wasn't. No, that was 2 or 3 years before that, wasn't it? But I think, wasn't it Wrexham? Anyway, but it was just
one to
not
forget.
a great season.
No, absolutely. Right, cover star. I reckon this guy's been on the cover of the Ipswich Town programme more than anybody else.
I mean, looking
Film
at the
star,
lineup, surely
Arthur
it's
Hayes.
Surely it's Johnny Walk. Surely it's Johnny Walk. There he is. Look,
it's John Walker.
In that Fison's resplendent in that Fison shirt. I like that kit with the blue flash down the shorts and stuff. That's perhaps the one thing to come out of that season, perhaps.
Oh, in terms of lineups, we had not that one. It's in terms of lineups. It's a bit of a wonky old formation that I could sort of work out we were playing here, but
yeah, I couldn't.
A debut for Mauricio Tarika's driver, or indeed who Mauricio Tarika chauffeured for potentially.
Yeah, Adrian Paz, and I think also a full debut for Klaus Thompson as well. I think.
Okay.
Is that right? Potentially, I think. Good player, liked him.
Yeah, he was very much a utility player, but he could play in a number of positions straight through the middle of the
player,
pitch.
Though he looked easy on the ball, and in a really struggling team, he looked quite a classy player. I thought, didn't he? The old warhorse Walkie at the back there, Geraint Williams sitting in front. Yeah, I think you probably nailed it there. Yeah, I think you probably have.
It's a bit of a workman-like centre midfield. Steve Palmer and Geraint Williams.
The prof next to Sedgley in midfield. Yeah. However, you've got to say that looking at that, a team that was always likely to struggle, probably, wasn't it?
And a team that's probably should have struggled against the Man U team.
Oh, Christ!
Which had a few more names other than the goalkeeper.
No,
I think you could pretty much.
Christ! Yeah. No disrespect on all of these. Gary Welsh, I think. My God, look at that team. Yeah, that's special, isn't it?
It's pretty much like the first iteration of the first Man U Premier League.
Yeah.
Proper team, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I think they'd won it for the first time season before, I think.
They won it the previous season by 8 points.
Yeah. Would it have been 92, 93? No, it wasn't them. Yeah, so I think the season before was the first time they won it. I believe it was. But yeah, I mean, what a side. I mean, just goal. As you're right, the goalkeeper, who I know had played several games during that period. But look, you got the back four. All right, Lee Sharp playing left back, but still good. Irwin. I mean, Bruce and Pallister. Christ, look at that centre mid. Vincent Keane, Giggs wide. Oh, it's frightening, really, isn't it?
Giggs and Kanchelskis as your wide players, with Vincent Keane just holding things nice and tight in the middle. Yeah.
And McClare, goal scorer, but the great Cantona up front. Yeah, that's brilliant team.
And we spoke about Wigfield earlier, and Town would certainly go on to enjoy their Saturday night because we ended up on the end of a 3-2 victory, Dave. A Paul Mason-inspired 3-2 victory.
He always had a goal in Paul Mason, didn't he? Again, I think he's got a little underrated player, not blessed with great pace, but great eye for goal. Mason coming in, playing right, or coming in on both sides. Remember the goal that he scored at Blackburn in the cup where he came in on the left. Well, this game certainly one of the goals. It was his second goal. He cuts in from the right. It's a great strike in the corner. First goal, I think, looking back at the goals, was good from Thompson, and he sort of gets his head up and just floats the ball in the 6 yard, and he's there. Then they strike back, don't they? We're 2-0 up, and as you would think, and I think it's not till about the late 69, something like that, that they get back into the game, and you think, here we go, because again, you expect them to roll over, and they expect us to roll over, and they get two quite quickly, I think, including what I think is Paul Scholes' first league goal. I think that's his first league goal off the bench. I believe it is. I think it is.
And not a textbook Paul Scholes goal, really. It's
poacher, wasn't it?
Running into the near post, to poke it in rather than lashing it in from 30 yards.
Both goals were 2 assists by Keane, I think, which again, sort of fairly unusual to see him popping up there. But then, just as you think, are we going to cave here? Frankie Yallop gets a ball in. Like seeing that goal back, literally in oceans of space, isn't he? Down the somehow the ball stays in. I think that could be Mason or someone plays that ball along the touchline. Somehow it sort of like looks like it's going out, but spins in. And he puts a good cross the back of the box and Sedgley. And maybe this is why Welsh is their second string keeper. He probably should do better, shouldn't he? Sort of fumbles it in his near post. Good volley from Sedgley, but he probably should keep that out. But then I assume it was like the Alamo. I can't remember, but I assume it was like the bloody Alamo after that, I assume. But what a win, though. Incredible win, yeah.
Yeah, very much unexpected. In terms of the league table afterwards, it did shoot us up to 15th in the league. Although,
wow,
it was a bit of a outlier because having lost our previous 4 games, we went on to lose the next 6.
That season was notable for runs. Was it bad runs? And that particular one after Christmas was the worst of the lot, wasn't it? When including we won't say the score, but the game at Old Trafford, and oh god, it was just I think Marshall scored at Arsenal, didn't he? It was our first goal in about 6 games, having conceded about 28 goals or something ridiculous like that. It was crazy, yeah. But yeah, I mean 15th at that point, that surely was as good as it got. Surely it was. I think we only won, was it 5 games that season? 6.
Well, right. we certainly finished rock bottom of the entire league.
We did, yeah.
22nd position.
Look at Everton. Look, always manage to extricate themselves. Look, good old Everton. Always do it. Yeah, it was. Like I say, it was a season too far for that squad, wasn't it?
But
looking at Man United team, I mentioned Scholes' first goal coming off the bench. Aside from that team, the 2 subs were Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt. Blimey, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good team, a good result, and as I say, most definitely the highlight of that particular season.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So as we've whipped through the first match, certainly the Van Nistelrooy penalty game, we've given ourselves a little bit of time at the end of the pod to allow Dave to bask in a match from a little bit earlier. You can probably guess which match we may well be referring to. The 1st of March, 1980. Number 1 in the charts, Dave.
Now 1980 is my
4th number 1.
Is my sweet spot. 4th number 1.
Yeah, probably not from there.
That would be Blondie, wouldn't it?
Would be Blondie. It wasn't from Parallel Lines. It was from the album after.
No. That's later. Call Me.
No. Atomic.
Atomic. Yeah. Okay. Call Me Atomic. That year, Call Me Atomic. Tide is High, I think, and one other which escapes me. But yeah, no, they were prolific round. Great band. That Parallel Lines, brilliant album. And Plastic Letters, I think the other sort of early album. Superb band back in the day. Brilliant.
And it was it would eventually be knocked to number 2. A song about a young man who took revenge on some...
Kenny Rogers, yeah. Kenny Rogers. Coward of the County.
Coward of the County.
Yeah. I mean, back in those days, that was the charts. You'd get classics like...
Eclectic mix.
It was eclectic mix. I think Atomic may have even knocked something like The Specials, Too Much Too Young, off the number 1. Or round about that era. I know round about that time of 1980. I mean, talk about eclectic. And then... I think probably the biggest. I know that has been. I was going to say Art Garfunkel, but I think that was a year before Bright Eyes. But yeah, that's just what the charts threw up back in those days. It's just bizarre.
We were 12 games undefeated in the league and went on to another 10 after this
nuts
match.
What?
Yeah. And yeah, the team that we were facing were actually 1 place above us in the league before this. Well, they would remain at 1 place above us in the league, but we were 3rd. Manchester United were 2nd at the point of the match. So you possibly didn't see this particular result coming.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say we were in a rich vein of form, weren't we? I think the previous away game we'd won 4-0 at Everton, which there's no footage of that game, but it's supposed to reckon to be one of the best performances of the whole 13-14 seasons of Robson's tenure, including apparently a goal by Eric Gates, which was one of the best as well. But there's no footage of it. No one can recollect it. But yeah, so we were in prime form going into this game. But yeah, I think even in anyone's wildest dreams, we didn't really anticipate the outcome. I remember I was staunch with a few pals, always churchmen's back in those days. But for some reason, for this particular game, I was in the north stand. And it was lively. Obviously, I wasn't anywhere near it, but with the cage, the fencing down the middle. And a good friend of mine was ball boy, one of the ball boys back in those days. And I don't know what they used to get for being a ball boy. Probably a privilege, I think. I don't even know they got paid for it, but the privilege of being a ball boy. But apparently he collected, which in those days, not going to consider it, like 5-6 quid's worth of loose change.
All sharpened.
All sharpened. Yeah, that was obviously pelted at poor old Paul Cooper and God knows what. But yeah, what a day. Yeah, I remember. I can remember it.
Well, the north stand was the place to be, wasn't it? In the first half.
It was. Yeah, I think I like to say. Well, yeah, it certainly was, because I think probably were we 3-0 up at half time. I think. But then when people talk about the 9-0. Spoiler alert, like, what we've just spoken about earlier, the 94-95 away game. Yeah, some people don't appreciate is that, okay, we won this one 6-0, but missed, technically three penalties. We did. One was retaken, but we missed 3 penalties. Just absolutely staggering. Yeah. Well, I haven't actually written a side there. I think our side was the.
Well, you say about missing the penalties. The reason why we probably missed those penalties is because our penalty taker, John Walk, was absent.
And I'll tell you why. John Walk's father had passed away. Walk's father had passed away that week, I think. So, yeah, I mean, look at that. Without John Walk, who was, Mr. Reliable from the spot. So, I'll tell you who's I say underrated player. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But Mick Mills back in that team.
Slotted in seamlessly.
Equally as comfortable in midfield. Right back, left back, as we know, equally as comfortable. Play 40 odd games. England captain him at the World Cup for not being a good player, but yeah, probably because there were so many other stars in that team. Probably unsung sounds ridiculous, but he probably was a bit. Yeah,
I'd say just took John Walk's position and was involved in a lot of the play, a lot of the goals.
Certainly, first goal I remember through ball through to Brazil. Brazil 1-on-1, just deadly. What a day! I remember the goal from Tyson. I think it was in the second half. So it was at the other end, at the Churchman's end, where he sort of gets the ball and he seems to beat like sick. He doesn't when you look back on it, but Tyson typically looks like he's going to shoot, drops his shoulder, defender goes there, looks like he's going to do it again, defender falls over, and finally thinks, I'll just plant it in left foot or something. Yeah, brilliant days, brilliant days, and good memories of that one. Yeah, you got the Man U side actually.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Let me prop that up here. One thing about that is Nikola Jovanovic was on the bench for Manchester United, who was only their second ever player from outside the British Isles. Do you know who their first non-British player would have been?
Dear, he's obviously. Am I looking through? He's not playing,
not
is he?
No.
I do, but Nikola
Jovanovic. Not a name that I remember.
Of what sort of era?
Well, I can find that for you, Dave.
Don't give me the player. Give me the era when he signed.
He was born in 1948. So he would have played for Man U in the late 60s, early 70s. 55 times he played for Manchester United.
Was his name Carlo Sartori?
It was Carlo Sartori. Very, very impressive. Yes, so Carlo was the first non-British player to play for Man U. And I say this...
Wow.
Jovanovic was this.
Jovanovic, Nikola Jovanovic. I mean... Yeah, that's Tom Sloan in midfield. I don't think he had the greatest game. I seem to remember that day. But look at the names, great names from the 70s, 80s there. Big, Joe Jordan. Lou Macari played for Man United for a lot. Must have been 10, 12 seasons. Big Joe Jordan up front. Sammy McElroy played for him forever. Coppell, great winger until he obviously was bad knee injuries. Buck and McQueen. Yeah, that's and then obviously the Ipswich link with Gary Bailey in goal, who obviously saved the penalties. It was famously Roy Bailey's son from our championship winning. Championship Division 1 even.
And it's one of those matches where you can find the highlights where they speak to Bobby Robson before and after the game, and he says at the beginning of the game, "So Obviously, Gary Bailey's playing. He's got some links, born in the town, his dad, etc. But he goes, I do hope he drops a couple today in the nicest possible way.
Yeah, brilliant.
And then he mentions about the tactics themselves as they did delve into these during their interviews, and said about Man U struggling to pick up Eric Gates and not knowing what to do with him, and Martin Buchan having to come out of the back four to mark him, and therefore creating a lot of space for Mariner and Brazil as a result.
Yeah, it's just and interesting. What we picked up on the Town team there is obviously Beatty's so important. Beatty was obviously fit for that game, so you'd push Mills with Walkie being out, push Mills there seamlessly, and Beatty would just slot in there. That's quite a nice back four, actually. Great days, mate. Great days. And that season, that was the season where we'd obviously struggled at first. We struggled at first that season, and he suddenly hit upon the Eric Gates in that first. We were one of the first players to play that withdrawn, what we'd say a 10 role now, and he was just one of the best, or probably the best I've seen at it back then in that role. Incredible. Yeah, good times. I enjoyed that.
It ended 6-0, if anyone didn't realise. And as Dave said, there were... Well, it's funny that about the penalties, isn't it? In that it was, as you say, it was 3 missed penalties, but one of them was a retaken penalty because Gary Bailey left or moved before the ball had been kicked, not left his line. Goalkeepers back then weren't even allowed to move.
Oh, like statuesque. You had no chance. I like this.
Yeah, crazy. But he still managed to.
I remember Beatty was never I think Tyson went for placement. I'm pretty sure Beatty was never one for placement and tried to blast him through. And I think he just happened to get in the way of Beatty's. Beatty's, I think one rebounded almost to the halfway line. I think, but that was great times. I never will ever forget that game and the whole atmosphere and everything about it. Amazing. Yeah, here's hoping.
Well. Yes, very much so. Let's quick look at the table. It looked like afterwards nothing actually changed in the table in terms of the top four. The top four remained the top four, despite there being another 12, 13 games, to the end of the season.
Liverpool were pretty much they're not invincible. Lost 4 games, but Liverpool was so good back then. I think it was the season before they had the ridiculous season when they conceded 16 goals or something ridiculous. Yeah, they were, what's the word? Imperious, although not necessarily obviously in Europe. Forest that season were going to go on to win the European Cup again.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Dave. As you say, Dave, let's hope we can bring some of the goals and 2 of the 3 results anyway onto next weekend's.
You'd like to think, going back to game number 1, Craig, you'd like to think that VAR would step in in a similar situation.
Yes, well, yeah, let's hope we're not talking about bloody referees again for after another game, eh? Wonderful. Well, thank you for that, Dave. As ever, Craig. We'll be back next time. Thanks for watching or listening. Hope you enjoyed this show. And as I say, the guys will be back later this week, potentially Thursday, I would assume, for the pre-match, and then we'll be running around after the match on Sunday to get back in time for the flagship on Sunday evening. This has been the Rewind Show on Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. Thank you all. We'll see you in a bit.